I don't always listen well. I know, it's a strange thing to admit, but I'm serious. I don't always listen well. Sometimes it's capacity. I'm depleted, running in too many directions, running on empty. Sometimes it's time, and sometimes I just don't want to. Not because I don't care, but because listening, real listening, requires something I'm not always willing to give. Think about the last time you were in a conversation. Someone was talking to you. You were there, physically present, eyes wide open, maybe even nodding, but you were somewhere else entirely. They knew, you knew. Look at the state of the world right now. Everyone is talking, everyone is broadcasting, everyone has a message, an opinion. We have a million more ways to be heard, and it's beautiful. We are louder than we've ever been. But sometimes I wonder, in all of that noise, are we actually listening to each other? I don't think we are. I think we have a listening problem, and it's costing us more than we realize. It doesn't show up in headlines. Sometimes it shows up in everyday conversations. The other day, I had someone on the team tell me that he was overwhelmed. It was during a day where I was looking at the budget and expenses. I heard him, but I was staring at a spreadsheet, looking at the number of the projects, the number of hours, the number of people, and the numbers weren't adding up. So I said, "The numbers don't match what you're describing." And he said, "I'm telling you, I'm overwhelmed." I said, "Yes, but it's not adding up." He said, "You're not listening to me." "I'm trying to," I said. Then he looked at me and said, "It sounds like you're being dismissive of my feelings." That didn't feel good, because that wasn't what I was trying to do. But in that moment, I had a thought. Am I too attached to my interpretation of the situation that I'm not truly willing to listen to what he's trying to tell me? I didn't know the answer, but I knew I had a choice: defend myself or listen. So I said, "How you feel is important to me." I realized I wasn't listening because I was focused on the numbers. And I just sat in it. It was uncomfortable. I don't know how long that lasted. "Wait, I understand your point too." That was the next thing he said. And then something shifted in that room. We both finally started listening to each other. We started solving the problem together rather than defending our different positions. We didn't resolve everything that day, but we became a team. And I haven't stopped thinking about it since. Why is that so rare? I mean, it's not just personal. We've built entire cultures at work, in life, in leadership that reward people for how well they speak, but not for how well they listen. I mean, remember, can you think of a time where somebody got promoted and their team said, "Oh yeah, that totally makes sense because they're a great listener"? We don't reward listening. We don't even measure listening. We tell ourselves we're too busy, too distracted, there's a lot going on. But if we're being honest, sometimes we don't want to listen because we are afraid of what we might hear. Because listening means you might be wrong. It means someone else might have the answer. It means giving up the position of the person who already knows, and most of us were never taught that was okay. Listening is invisible. You can't post about it. You can't show it off. There is no certificate for it. You can tell when somebody's a great communicator, you can hear it. You can tell when somebody's a great visionary, you can see it. But a great listener, the only way you can tell is by being around one. Because we can feel when somebody is listening to us, and we can feel when they're not. Think about the last time you held something back in a conversation. Something important, something true, maybe an idea or a concern. Maybe it was about how you were really doing. Why didn't you say it? I'd be willing to bet it wasn't because you didn't have the words. It was because in that moment you felt this person is not here to listen. And that is the cost. The things that never get said. The idea that could have changed the direction goes unspoken. The concern that could have prevented a mistake stays quiet. And the person who was already halfway out the door doesn't say anything and leaves. And on the other hand, the person who is leading leaves thinking, oh, I have alignment. What they really have is an edited version. Listening is not a leadership skill. Listening is leadership. It's underneath every success worth having. And I'll be the first to admit, it is hard. It means staying curious and slowing down when everything inside you and around you is pushing for certainty and speed. And I know it won't always be possible. There are times you have to decide. There are times you have to move. I'm not talking about perfection here. I'm talking about the practice. The moment you notice you've drifted away and you come back. That's it. Not perfect listening, just the willingness to try and try again. And I've seen what that willingness makes possible every day. In my work as a consultant, but also as an artist. The arts have taught me that above all, you cannot impose. When I am in a rehearsal room and I'm really leading well, I'm not talking the most. I'm listening to what's missing, what's not working, what's emerging. That is not passive. That is active and intentional. And it's the same when I'm a consultant working with leaders, communities, or organizations. The practice is the same, whether you're on stage or in a boardroom. You cannot lead what you haven't first listened to. I told you, I don't always listen well. I still don't, but I'm more intentional about it because I've experienced what happens when I stay. Something always comes out that wouldn't any other way. And that is available to all of us, every single person in this room, in every conversation, every relationship. So before I leave you, I want us to try something together. Stop. Listen. What did you notice just now? Maybe it was the person next to you breathing. Maybe it was the voices backstage or the hum of the lights. Or maybe your own thoughts. But that's it. That's where listening begins. Now imagine bringing that same presence to your next conversation, to your next moment with someone who needs to be heard. Because leadership doesn't start when you speak, it starts when you listen. So whatever you're building, whatever success looks to you, it starts here. Listen. Thank you.